I'm excited today to introduce you to our quite in-depth Xero integration with AssetAccountant. Now, what you're looking at here is the rolled up view of a fixed asset register. And to the left, we've got the asset groups and the number of assets in each individual group. But I am showing you the Xero integration today. So all you need to do is go to your register settings and we will link up your Xero account. And you can see here, we've got integrations. We just click on this. Currently, we integrate with QuickBooks Online, Sage Intacct and Xero. Select Xero, which I'm doing here, and enter your login details. Okay, and now we are connected to Xero. As you can see, this is our demo account we are linked to. The next step is you will probably have tracking categories. So I know in Xero you are able to have two. AssetAccountant calls these classifications. It's the same thing. It might be locations, profit centers, departments, however you split up your journals or your business operations, and in Xero having the two, this is where you do this. So you can see in the incumbent asset register, we've got location, and that's the only tracking category that we have. Adelaide, Brisbane, Melbourne, Perth, and Sydney. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sync now with Xero tracking categories. You'll see that location already exists in the asset register. If it didn't, you could create a new one. But because that matches, we'll just select that. And department, which exists in Xero, does not exist in AssetAccountant. We could create a new one, but for argument's sake, let's say we only use the one tracking category. Save and next. Now this is where we map the fields. So in Xero, Adelaide, Brisbane, Dubbo, Melbourne, Perth, and Sydney, you'll notice that in our asset register, we already have some of these. But if you didn't, and in this case, Dubbo does not exist in AssetAccountant, we can create that. So just save and next. And it is just a matter of saving that now. And now we are fully mapped with our Xero tracking categories. Now, a really cool feature of AssetAccountant is, I'll just go back to our grid, is here now you will see a new tab called Draft Assets. So every time you enter a fixed asset in Xero, we bring this up in AssetAccountant and it gives you the option to ignore it or add the asset. So you can see here that we've got one. It is just a matter of adding the asset here, allocating a code, however you might like to do it. We might put it in furniture and fittings, cost $400, purchase date. This is where we can, well, let's use Brisbane, for example, as the tracking category. You'll see here location. We've got a quantity field too. That is not relevant on this particular occasion. And this is then where we can add our tax and accounts depreciation methods. So you'll know from Xero's fixed assets tracking, you can only have one book. Obviously in AssetAccountant, we can run the two books, one for tax and one for accounts. We have other videos on how to add assets in AssetAccountant. Now, the other thing you will like to do is, of course, post journals. And now that you've got your tracking categories set up, your journals will be posted to tracking categories. So if I click journals, you'll see here that I have mapped all of our asset groups except for one, so office equipment. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So just to explain briefly, is all of these asset groups I have already mapped in, but office equipment I have not. So I will go and do that now. And these are the settings for the office equipment group. And you'll see down here the general ledger accounts. You're connected to Xero. So you'll see that our balance sheet and profit and loss items have not been mapped. So AssetAccountant doesn't know where to post, which accounts to post your journals. So this is you need to do this only once on account setup really, and then it should just run itself. But because we're connected to Xero, all I need to do is just now map all of our accounts. So for balance sheet items, the clearing and suspense, and remembering that we're in office equipment. So here's our cost, $710 office equipment, and less accumulated depreciation, depreciation expense, here, immediate claim. These are the P&L items, and profit and loss on disposal. I'm just running it through the one account. You can have separate accounts if you like. Now, getting into a little bit more complex territory, if you have an account that has revaluations active in it, this is where you can nominate your accounts for your revaluation reserves and your loss on revaluation or your impairment loss. And that is it. So now I'll just save this, save the asset group. And now when you go to post a journal, here you'll notice that error doesn't come up anymore because we are now fully mapped. And it really is just a matter of creating journals. I'll create one here. And now you can see that the location is mapped here. So for buildings, Melbourne, Sydney. So these are now mapped to your tracking categories. And that is it. Asset Accountant is now fully integrated with Xero, and you are ready to post journals with draft assets being recognized from Xero that you can add into Asset Accountant, and also your journals being posted separating your tracking categories.